This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
And good day from New York. We're coming on the air with breaking news. A jury has just reached a verdict, a ruling in the federal defamation trial against former President Donald Trump that was brought by the writer E. Jean Carroll. The former president ordered to pay $83.3 million in damages for the case. It comes months after Mr. Trump was already found liable for sexually abusing and defaming Carroll, who Trump mocked while he was president after she made a sexual assault claim against him. It also comes after Trump stormed out of the courtroom during closing arguments earlier today after Carroll's attorney told the jury that he's a liar and thinks, quote, the rules don't apply to him. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas. Break it down for us. I said that the larger sum is $83.3 million. How is that split up?
Yeah, it's split up at $7.3 million compensatory damages other than the reputation repair program. Remember, the plaintiff called in an expert to say, this is what it would cost if we started a campaign to repair Jean Carroll's reputation. So they separated that out. The compensatory was basically pain and suffering. That was $7.3 million. And then you go to the reputation repair program, $11 million. That was right around what the plaintiff and the expert testified to, upwards of about $12 million.
And Carroll had been asking for at least $10 million.
At least $10 million, but it was right there in the range. Now we get to punitives. And punitives, Lester, are really difficult to calculate. You really never know what a jury's going to do. As a good rule of thumb, anything in the 3 to 4 to 5 times multiples is probably going to get upheld on appeal. It's when you get into the 100 times the compensatory damages, the punitive damages might get overturned or reduced when they go up on appeal. This is right within the range, and it is within the range of what the plaintiffs were looking for in terms of compensatory damages. The punitives appear to be roughly, and I'm not good at math, but about 4 times the compensatory damages. That's right in the range that I think an appellate court would uphold. But make no mistake about it, the Trump team will appeal this, as they often do any adverse rulings.
And what do you make of the fact that this deliberation was just a matter of hours?
Well, Lester, there are a couple factors there. Number one, it is Friday, and the jury was going to deliberate until 4:30. The other factor is that this trial is going to be unlike any other Trump trials, criminal or civil, because the issues were so narrowed, almost to a pinhole. It was really just about damages, specifically compensatory damages to Jean Carroll and punitive damages, which are designed to punish Donald Trump. Donald Trump could not testify about many of the things he wanted to, which was he wanted to say that she was a liar or that she made all this up. None of that was coming in, and that was why you had a rocket-fast case here that started and ended really in just over a week in whole. So this is something that is a bit of an anomaly in Trump legal land. The case moved very quickly. The jury just got the case to deliberate a couple hours ago. Ultimately, they didn't have a lot of numbers to play with. They had an expert who testified as to the dollar amount it would take to repair reputation. But the challenge with defamation and punitives, they're both really difficult to quantify. Not like a normal personal injury case where you can talk about years of physical therapy or lost wages. Here, you really just had pain and suffering and a number they had to arrive at for punitives. And while it may seem that they plucked it out of the air, they had to get in there and agree and be unanimous on that number. So we may never know what negotiations went on, but they had the very difficult task of settling on a number in a very intangible world of compensatory damages and defamation, and then punitive damages.
All right, Danny, I'll ask you to stand by for a moment as I bring in senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett joining us on the phone. Laura, the ruling unanimous, as we point out. Can you walk us through how this case differs from the other E. Jean Carroll cases?
Lester, it's a unanimous verdict. It's also a massive one that is meant to send a message. $65 million in punitive damages in particular is really, I think, sending quite a strong message from this federal jury in Manhattan. And remember, as you said, this is now the second time around for E. Jean Carroll. She had already won back in May $5 million, and we've now bumped it up to $83 million, which I think shows you what happens when the former president continues to make statements about her having made this entire thing up. Remember how all of this started was on the White House lawn when he said back in 2019, I don't know this woman. I have no idea who she is. She's accused other men. It's a totally false accusation. It's from that, what happened on the White House lawn, Lester, that E. Jean Carroll said she then was subject to a barrage of threats from Trump supporters who thought that she was a liar, and they essentially ruined her life after that point. And that's what all of this money and compensation she says she's owed. It all stems from what happened on the White House lawn. And the statements that he's continued to make, and you heard in closing argument today, her lawyers pressing the point, what will it take to make him stop? That's something we heard repeatedly throughout this 2-week trial and something we heard in closing arguments here today. As Danny mentioned, this, of course, will go up on appeal, just as the first verdict did. He's already tied that case up in appeals. E. Jean Carroll hasn't seen a cent of that $5 million, although he has been forced to put some money in escrow. So I would expect we would see this civil verdict also go up on appeal, Lester.
If the former president were to repeat these claims again, as he has apparently done at some point along the way, is he subject to potentially a new lawsuit, a new trial?
She could try that, but at this point, Lester, she's now gotten $83 million in one verdict and $5 million in another. She could keep going. She could amend her lawsuit. We saw her amend her claims after he went on